Would you like to improve your writing for your university essays? Yeah, of course you would. So stick around, I'm going to give you some tips. Hello everyone, welcome back to The Attic. My name's Mark Jago, I'm a philosopher in the UK. For the last few videos, I've been focusing in on how to write better, clearer essays. And over the last few videos, we've been looking at a few tips for how to improve the clarity of your writing. Tip number 1, use shorter sentences. Tip number 2, don't try to sound too clever. Don't be too wordy. In this video, we're going to think about how we put that together and get our writing to flow nicely. Our ideas flowing from sentence to sentence, paragraph to paragraph, and section to section. Okay, so if that sounds good to you, why not subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get updates. Good, clear writing, it doesn't just depend on the individual sentences. I mean, think about the Wittgenstein example where we have these, we have quite short, simple sentences and we're just lost when we look at the whole. As a reader, when I'm looking at a sentence, I don't want to just know what the sentence means. I want to be able to locate that sentence within a paragraph and that paragraph within an overall argument. So as I'm reading each sentence that you've written, I want to know, how does this fit into, this section? How does it fit into the overall flow of the argument? It's your job as the essay writer to make that stuff clear to the reader. Basically, we do that by structuring our essay really clearly and precisely before we even start writing it. Okay, so basically we do a really good essay plan. I talked about this in the previous video on structure, so let me just recap what I said there. We're going to make a really good detailed essay plan where we first set out what sections we're using, so a bit of setting out the argument, a bit of evaluating the argument, a bit about evaluating a different argument, and then under each heading we're going to give 2 or 3 or 4 bullet points basically explaining what's going to happen in that section, paragraph by paragraph. Then, as we write the essay, we're going to take a section and we're going to take each bullet point and probably write that out at the top of the page, just a reminder of what I'm trying to do in the bit I'm writing, and then we just take each bullet point in turn and we write it out as a paragraph, using the principles we were just talking about. Short sentences, simple word choice, etc. Even with all of that in play, we can still go wrong if we jumble up the order of things within the paragraph. Here's how we avoid that mistake. We start the paragraph off by indicating what we're going to be talking about, what the idea is in the paragraph. We finish the paragraph by kind of summing up what we were talking about and signaling that we're going to be moving on to something else. And then basically in the middle, we just have to clearly get across the content of the bullet point that we wrote in our essay plan. Okay, so here in my first bullet point, I want to be talking about, I'm evaluating some guy's argument, so I'm talking about premise 1 in my first bullet point. So I'm going to start my paragraph off by saying at the start, I'm talking about premise 1. Here's what premise 1 says. Then I'm going to evaluate what I think about premise 1, and then I'm going to finish things up by saying, interim conclusion, here's my view on premise 1. After that argument, here's what I think about it. True or false, acceptable or not acceptable. And there I'm also signaling that we're moving on to something else. So just to make that really clear, look, this paragraph, the very first words are premise 1. The very final words are premise 1, signaling that this paragraph is all about premise 1, and then we're moving on to something else, premise 2, okay? And I'm clearly saying what I conclude in each paragraph. We concede premise 1. We don't accept premise 2, etc. Okay, so this here is just good structure, good signposting. Yeah, it can feel a bit formulaic at times, but look, I'm going to say don't worry too much about that. If you are already writing essays that are getting super top marks and, you're completely happy, then perhaps you want to think about jazzing the language up and making it more exciting, less formulaic or whatever. But, for the rest of us, what we want to focus on is writing clearly, okay? Structuring things well, using clear language, writing in a good logical structure. That can feel a bit formulaic, but remember what you're trying to do in writing an essay is demonstrate your philosophical skills or, theological skills or whatever kind of essay you're writing, you're not really trying to demonstrate literary flair, right? And from my point of view as a marker, what I want to be able to see is like, yes, this person, this writer really knows how to analyze a philosophical argument. They know how to convey ideas clearly. I sort of don't care too much if it's a little bit formulaic. Okay, good. So there you have a few tips on how to get your writing a bit clearer, a bit more concise and structured in a nice way that really helps the reader out to understand how your argument's progressing. Now, we can take these ideas further, particularly when we're thinking about conciseness. I've got a few strategies for taking a bit of writing you've done and basically allowing you to say all of the same things using fewer words. What that allows you to do is include more content in your essays without going outside the word count, okay? That's a super good way of going from a good essay to a really good essay. However, it gets a bit involved, so I'm going to talk about that in a separate follow-up video. I'm going to do that next time. So for now, thank you very much for watching this far. If you found these tips useful, why not subscribe to the channel? Hit the bell icon to get updates. Thank you very much for all your questions. If you've got any more questions, leave them below in the comments. There's no such thing as a bad question on this channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.